Welcome, one and all, to the Revolutionary Wrestling Podcast for our review of Double or Nothing, folks. We are here. We are together. This is a momentous occasion. Is it just me, or is this going to be the best podcast you've ever seen on potentially the greatest day ever? And you want to know why that would be? Here on the Revolutionary Wrestling Podcast, Big Buck and Empire, KOE Nation on YouTube and Twitch. Tony, do you know why that would be?
Why, Phil?
Because we are celebrating the beginning of the most important event in possibly human history.
All right.
Do you know what that is?
What is that, Phil?
That would be the crowning of Phil K.O.E. as the Revolutionary Wrestling Podcast champion for the 8th time. Yes, folks, you beautiful, beautiful people. Oh, yes, thank you. Thank you. Bask, I will take all of your groveling. Yes, I am now the Revolutionary Wrestling Podcast champion, folks. It happened. You were here to see. Thank you. Thank you. I know it's
raise it up.
Yes, I know. It heavy hangs the shoulder, heavy hangs the head that wears the crown. But folks, I am the king of extreme. I am the conqueror of the ethereal, as Tony was there to see. My first ghost hunt completely conquered the entire ethereal realm.
Okay, now you're stepping over.
No.
Over the line,
I'm underselling it, Tony. I know you don't like it when I'm modest.
You're stepping
but
over
here
the line,
I am.
Phil.
Then I became a lord of the Scottish Highlands. I became the emperor of the Big Buckin' Empire. And now, folks, I am, yes, the Revolutionary Wrestling Podcast champion. We were here to see it, folks. It happened. Now, Tony, I promise to be as modest as I possibly can in victory.
I'm sure.
Which, here's a, yes, I know. You need to wipe the tears. It's so beautiful. I know. But, now all I have to say is, and to the former champ chicken,
who couldn't be here with us tonight because he's got a major case of fasciitis.
Oh, he's also got work in the morning.
Yeah, there's that.
Yeah.
But
chicken, all I have to say is, now from one champ to the former champ, all I have to say is these two things, and I mean them from the absolute bottom of my heart.
Go ahead,
chicken.
Phil. I know this is hard for you.
Na 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 na. That's the first one, and the second one. This is one I've been wanting to tell you since high school. Chicken, I truly mean it. Fuck you and the horse you rode in on. So, yes, I am the Revolutionary Wrestling Podcast champion.
Right.
And it is, Tony. And we've got my adoring fans coming in. Yes, you were here to see it. We're getting there, folks.
Apparently we got one.
I was about to say, welcome to. And yes.
You got nowhere else to be.
Oh, but yes. And thank you.
Fucking right.
Thank you. I was about to say, come on in. The water's fine. I love it. And we're on 6 different platforms right now. So
that doesn't make it better.
Yeah, I was about to say. So it just depends on which one you're talking to. Right. But folks, Double or Nothing, it was a great event with amazing matches on it. And the most amazing thing of all is it just me, or did the world just become a slightly better place? Just almost immediately.
I don't know.
The moment I became champion.
I feel like there's a lot out there that changed. In this moment.
Possibly.
Tyler Williams.
What's up, Tyler?
I was just in awe. Nobody but me was. Hey, I'm sorry. At least you're the trendsetter. Thanks for joining us.
Come on in. The water's fine.
The Swamp Fox. Thank you. Okay.
Yeah, Swamp Fox.
Thanks for joining us.
But yes, Tyler Williams, what's happening is I just became the 8-time Revolutionary Wrestling Podcast champion.
Yes.
The belt has come home to Nebraska.
Folks,
it is truly momentous. And with all that being said, Tony, let's get into the event. Can you tell him a little jazzed?
Yeah, no, he's jazzed up. He's excited. I understand it. He's an 8-time champ. I remember when I became an 8-time champ. I'm a 9-time champ. Thought it was going to be a 10-time tonight, but didn't quite go my way. And let's talk about this show, folks. AEW Double or Nothing, the third installment, 2021, 2021. Here we go. All right, so for everybody wondering what happened on the pre-show, let's get right into that. Serena Deeb defended the NWA Women's Championship against former AEW Women's Champion Riho. Now, this was actually a pretty damn decent match. This was a good opening match on the pre-show. I enjoyed it. I thought they would mesh well stylistically, and I was not wrong here. Serena Deeb is hands down better in the ring, but let's be frank, we all fucking knew that. And if you lie to yourself about Riho being better, tell your mom to warm up some more fucking pizza rolls because Serena Deeb was fantastic here.
Oh, yeah. Serena was really the star of this match. Even the end was a botch by Riho, and Serena saved it. So you were worth every penny. And I knew the NWA wasn't going to drop their women's title on a pre-show match. They're not going to be nearly
another company, no.
Yeah, they're not going to be nearly as nice with their belts as Impact is because they don't really have a choice.
Oh, jeez. Okay. Anyway, so Serena, you got the win. We'll get there. We're almost there. Serena gets the win here. A pretty good intro match on the pre-show. And yes, Phil, you gave it a 3.25. I gave it a 3.5. I really liked it. I'm a fan of Serena Deeb. Loved the match as the intro. I thought it set the pace very, very well for the start of the show.
Yes, now I must say, just real quick, Serena Deeb, from one champion to another, I must say, an amazing job this evening. Okay.
Tyler Williams, the belt looked better in Iowa, but congrats, buddy. I mean,
now you were...
He's part right with the congratulations,
yes.
But the rest of that, I don't even know what he's saying.
I was about to say, almost incomprehensible.
Nothing looks better in Iowa, but I digress.
I mean, this belt looks best right here, and I can't wait for the actual shiny belt to make its way here. I think that's really for the best, Tony.
Even if yours truly has to go all the way to Iowa to get that, it's coming home to Nebraska. Nothing looks better in Iowa, folks. Let's move along to the main show. Now, I was a little surprised to see this open the show, but you know what? Really great match. Hangman, Adam Page, Brian Cage, one-on-one. This was actually really damn good. I tell you what, I fawned a little bit over Brian Cage in this one because the guy is a big, muscly, meathead-looking motherfucker, and Adam Page is technically sound and can pull off some really great stuff. And I thought this match was actually really good. I thought this was a fantastic opening match for the actual pay-per-view itself. You've got a little bit of turmoil in Team Taz with Cage wanting to do this the right way, win the match on his own without any outside interference. There's a story there. They're doing what they can with it, but this was just a really great match. Page is amazing when he really hits that next level. Cage was on point tonight. There really wasn't anything I can shit on about this match. I really, really enjoyed it. I gave it 3.75. I thought this was one of the better opening matches in AEW history in terms of pay-per-view. So I have nothing bad to say about this one. 3.75. Phil, you actually also gave it 3.75.
I enjoyed this match a lot.
It was
like
really
you said,
good.
There was some moments where it could have come off the rails.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
But Page is really, like, when you get him back in front of a crowd, he's amazing.
Yes.
And, like, he does have that certain just magnetism, even when he's got kind of a...
What a difference.
Gimmick. He was still able to pull it off, and... Yeah. Well, the minute you give him the crowd back, he's just able to get it right back, just right where he left off. So this is the right move. He needs this momentum going forward.
Yes.
And it's...
Well, anything is better than being the comedy buddy of the newly turned babyface cult group, the Dark Order. Like, that was character death right there. This was a great win for Adam Page. Like, this guy's an all-around great worker. He's young. You can build around him if you do it right. And I think this was a good first step in doing just that. Do you not agree?
Oh, yeah. Like, he's actually somebody that I'm interested in seeing again.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
Like you said, with the crowd, like another level was just secondary. It wasn't even, he didn't even have to think about it.
Yeah, it was. And also the way that the buckshot lariat sequence where Brian Cage, that guy moves like way better than a guy his size should.
Exactly.
Like, I'm shocked that as much nimbleness, strength, flexibility is all contained on one frame, and that he's able to hold it all together.
Yeah, it's weird seeing somebody in that much control of that weight and depth perception. Like Brian Cage is a little bit underrated. Like he misses a few things, but he was on tonight. I really, really liked it.
I was about to say, if he was in any other promotion other than the big two, he'd pretty much just be the world champion.
Yeah. Yeah. And he was in MLW, or no, not MLW. God, what is it, MLW?
Maybe.
Like, no, excuse me, Impact, sorry.
Yeah,
Impact.
MLW is the Island of Misfit Toys. But,
so
10 to 10 man, in Think voice, I have to...
The new champion of the world, Phil K.O.E.
I do a pretty good think. The winner of this bout and new champion, Phil K.O.E. Thank you, you philosopher king, 10 to 10 man.
So... No, I really liked it. I'm excited to see where they go with both Page and Cage. Say that 5 times fast. But no, this was a great opening match. Loved it. For me, let's just slow things down real fucking quick with the AEW Tag Team Championship match. The Young Bucks defending against Jon Moxley and Eddie Kingston. So, Phil, why don't you go ahead and tell us what you thought of this one.
I love this match.
Talk about it.
I really enjoyed this match. It was just... There was a lot of near falls. It kept you on the edge of your seat. It was about the best I've seen from Eddie Kingston in some time. The Bucks were on point as always, and they were able to, just by the hair of their chinny chin, hang on to the titles. And I don't know. I gave it 4 stars because I just thought it was a really great time just from start to finish. There was, and Tony, he tried to be a jerk a couple of times. Like, he went, "Hey, Phil, who's legal?" And I went, "Matt Jackson and Jon Moxley." And the fact that I was able to tell twins apart there shows how much I was paying attention.
You finally chose to pay attention to a clusterfuck. Listen, folks, you gave this match 4 stars.
Yep.
You're sticking by that.
Sticking with it.
Okay, so I'm giving it 2 stars, so we'll give an average of 3. Listen, folks, I'm sorry.
I bet Chicken's going to give it a little
I don't care.
Bring it up.
Listen to me. This match was an absolute clusterfuck. And I said on the prediction video, this is going to be a disaster from everything on the outside. You know what? The outside interference almost had no impact on how big of a disaster this was in the ring. You had Matt and Nick Jackson in the ring, basically just standing there while the worst referee they have on the roster just stands there and pretends to count. Like, you remember playing, like, Attitude or WrestleMania 2000 on N64, and the ref was just kind of there? Really didn't have any bearing on anything. It was just standing there making fake computer animated motions. That's basically what the referee does here in the Young Bucks matches, but we knew that. But it was on full display here tonight. He's counting them out. You guys got to get out of the ring. You got to get out of the ring, Nick, because Matt barely ever lets Nick, get in the fucking match. So it's just Road Warrior Matt Jackson in there kicking ass and taking names and no-selling everything.
Road Warrior Matt Jackson. I hate how much I love that.
The problem here was you got Matt and Nick in the ring at the same time, one-on-one with Jon Moxley, giving him everything in the world plus a hand grenade up his ass, and he still won't eat the pin. Jon Moxley still won't go down and eat the fucking loss. Meanwhile, both of them are in the ring kicking the shit out of Jon Moxley. What's Eddie Kingston doing? He's on the outside of the ring, holding the tag rope, going, "Gosh, I really hope I get tagged in so I can help my tag partner, even though both of them are in there. What do you do?
Okay, I will give Tony, one of the reasons this wasn't a 5-star match was because there was a bit of a lack of regard for the referee.
Sure, let's call it a bit. This was
a little bit.
I could
they
not.
They might have pushed the boundaries of a referee's 5 count.
They could not suck me in from the get-go. They didn't draw me in the middle, and the finish just, it was a popcorn fart for me. I didn't like this match. I'm sorry. The Young Bucks are great as heels. It works as heels, but let's just do away with it. Let's just have tornado tag team matches. Let's not beat around the bush anymore. Please, for the love of God. It would make so much more sense, and I would enjoy their matches so much more if I didn't have to pretend that the referee is completely being buried, the storyline's completely forgotten, and the rules were 100,000 fucking years ago. Let's just go for it. Let's just make it the tag team Texas Tornado Tag Champs. We all knew the outcome here, except for the former champ chick, and the Young Bucks do end up getting the retain here, and nobody gives a shit because the match sucked.
Thank you, Bucks. Thank you, Bucks. I have you to thank for bringing that belt back from Iowa to Nebraska from that rapscallion ne'er-do-well chicken. 4-star extravaganza tag team feast for the eyes.
2 stars. Yeah, no, was not a fan. This was not good. You had 2 garbage guys against 2 guys so far up their own ass. It didn't matter.
This is the fun thing about AEW is WWE. Tony and my star ratings are usually about a star apart, and not like it's very rare if they're more than a star apart. Like,
yeah, and then you see the logo up in the top right there, and this guy marks out.
Oh, well, when they put on a great product, hang on.
Great is subjective here, folks.
Thank you, AEW.
Honestly, though, no.
This was another one, I got to say, Tony Khan.
No.
Elite, you did it again.
This was one of their better shows. I'm not going to deny
Now, Tony agrees with that statement for entirely different reasons.
True. No, this was one of their better shows. But we're getting sidetracked. Let's get on to the... This one was a little surprising, and this one was honestly...
Okay, we get sidetracked?
This was actually pretty disappointing. The Battle Royal, the Casino Battle Royal. If you like rules that are completely fucking forgotten the second that they're announced, and let me tell you, they make sure to remind you of them before they completely forget them. The Casino Battle Royale, where you've got 21 people, 5 people are spades, diamonds, hearts, and clubs, and then there's a surprise Joker card, and then nobody cares. It's a weird way to do a battle royal. It's way too convoluted, and it didn't matter in the end.
The surprise was Lio Rush.
Yeah, the Joker card was Lio Rush.
Now,
we were a little disappointed
until he got in the ring.
True.
The minute he got between the ropes, he impressed me better than I've ever seen, than I ever thought I would see out of Lio Rush. That was like... his performance for the short time he was in was almost a 5-star performance.
I'll give you that.
Except for one mess up. But yeah, his time in the ring was amazing. There was that one.
I did want to say
one weird thing with Matt Hardy.
Well, they went for the springboard cutter off of the middle rope. They missed it. Then they went back to it. He finally got it. It almost didn't land the second time. But that was kind of a theme throughout this entire thing. Like Private Party did the teeter-totter move on the rope with holding each other on their backs like 3 times in this match. And finally, the third time, my God, you go back to the well 3 times. Eventually, it's going to be dry, and that is what ended up getting them eliminated. But you see it once, that's great. You go back to it again, okay, it was cool the first time. A third time, you're pushing it, folks.
I did like the fake out at the end, though.
Sure.
Because...
the ending was fantastic.
Everyone and their mother and even their mother's cat thought that Christian was going to win this match.
Yeah, no, everybody who predicted this thing thought that Christian was going to win this. It did end up coming down to both Private Party, Matt Hardy, Jungle Boy, and Christian Cage. Those were your final 5. Once Private Party are out, Matt Hardy, he's like, hey, Christian, we go way back.
I was about to say, because, Christian and Matt Hardy were just best of buds when you go back and watch their WrestleMania matches. Those guys were basically tag team partners, right?
Better friends than Matt and Edge, but I digress. So, honestly, that was the theme, though, through this whole thing. Like, Lio Rush was a surprise, and everybody who came in,
ultimate opportunity.
At least 50% of the roster on this thing, they showed up, they made their appearance, and then they were fucking out. Like, thanks for coming. They got almost nothing. Yet some of the people were in this thing the whole way through. And then, of course, the very end, Jungle Boy worked amazingly well with Christian Cage. The ending was solid. I really enjoyed the end. I wish I enjoyed the rest of the match as much. Jungle Boy does get the win here, and he will get an AEW world title shot in like 2 weeks. So you know what? Jungle Boy's a great talent. I have no problem with this. Did surprise me a bit, but it is what it is.
It's the best way I can think of a legend giving a young guy the rub through a battle royal, because everyone's thinking, Christian's going to come in and win. So all the eyes are on seeing Christian, and they give it to Jungle Boy. And
it worked well. Those two worked very well together. I'd actually like to see a one-on-one match with those two. That's what that set up for me, not a world title match, because we all know how that's going to end. Yeah. But I digress. What did you give this one, the Battle Royal, Phil?
I gave it 3.25. I enjoyed it. Like, I liked it a lot more than you did, apparently.
I loved the ending. I thought the meat of the match was a little lackluster and pretty disappointing in other ends.
The high spots were really high. The low spots were really low. I think that's a good way to put it for me.
I gave it 2.5, and
so right in the middle.
I'll give you this. Part of that,
it's a little better than just
part of the reason of me giving it a 2.5 is probably because Christian didn't win, because we expected to see. Okay, Edge went bell to bell in the Royal Rumble, so obviously Christian's going to come here and do the same in this funky battle royal.
I wanted to see that.
I did too, but that's neither here nor there. It doesn't matter. Jungle Boy and Christian put on a great show at the end. I just wish the rest of the match held my interest the same way. I gave it 2.5. You gave it 3.25. It was all right. It's better
than a halfway match.
It was better than some other battle royals we've seen. So
let's
talk about the elephant in the room.
Okay.
We got a lot to say about this one, folks.
Cody versus Hollywood A Go-Go.
No. Cody, the American Dream Rhodes. Cody.
Hang on, let me let the flag wave. Oh,
thank you.
Can you see?
I'd just like to take a minute to thank Cody Rhodes for destroying systematic racism, for standing up for the American dream, for the American nightmare. Cody Rhodes finally achieved world peace by beating an understudy from his own gymnasium in a one-on-one match on a pay-per-view. And he came out dressed as Homelander from The Boys on Amazon Prime. This was single-handedly the most inspirational performance I've ever seen from a wrestler, from a professional wrestler, and maybe the greatest of all time, Cody freaking Rhodes. This man is not only the best, he is not only the GOAT. I wish I were Cody Rhodes. I wish I shared a name with this man. I wish I were reincarnated as his soon-to-be born child. My goodness, Dusty Rhodes should be proud from the netherworld of his son. The only one that matters, Cody fucking Rhodes!
Tony couldn't have said it better myself. Yes.
We didn't rehearse that. That was on the fly, folks. Give us a like, share, and subscribe for that one alone.
Oh, God. So, yes, that Cody.
This was a fucking disaster.
First of all, he comes out like, imagine if George Washington had his own anime.
Oh, no, before he
comes out. No, that's what he comes out as. Like, the George Washington anime meets Homelander.
Before Cody even comes out, they're showing quotes from Patton and FDR. Like, this is the single most important event in American history on AEW Double or Nothing. And then Cody Rhodes, the American Dream Nightmare catnap, comes out. He's decked out like the Patriot from 90s WWF crossed with Homelander from The Boys. This was the most insulting usage of Old Glory that I think I've ever fucking seen.
I was about to say, like I said, like, imagine if you saw George Washington in anime.
Oh, good God. This was a mess. You've got like 20 people coming out as managers around the ring, and this is just a mess. And he, like, the internet fans are starting to finally turn on Cody. Like, okay, dude, you've got your head so far up your ass. This is insulting at this point. Like, the crowd was still with it. He came out. You finally got a crowd. He's still firing him up, but you're like, okay, this is a little bit ridiculous. Then the match goes. I have nothing really bad to say about the match because there really wasn't much to say about the match. The build for this thing, oh my God, it was the most important thing you've ever seen. He was going to single-handedly defeat racism with this match by beating a British guy.
Yeah.
Nobody knows how or why, but
a British half-black guy, no less. Like, what?
Nobody
this made no sense.
None of this made sense.
Like, now,
this
granted,
was ridiculous.
like, if he had the right heel, this would have worked. Like, but
a Go-Go was not that guy, and I don't understand why
he's
he was
a
put in this
British
position.
boxing champion. So, like, I get it, but he really kind of went over the top with it. So.
Did he do it? No, I don't. For me, I don't believe that Cody did it. I don't think he did it.
You don't think he solved racism?
I don't think he did with just this match. I think it's under one match. No,
give
I don't
him
think he did
a couple more, maybe, but no. Yeah,
we're gonna need a follow up.
Yeah.
I don't know. The match.
I think the problems are still the problem. Like, that's why you don't go that overthinking with a promo, because
the amount of time and
the
energy,
social problems are still going to be the social problems after the match is over.
The amount of time and energy that Cody Rhodes put into the build for this match, and then the amount of energy he put into the actual match itself. Yeah, the build was somehow better, and I didn't like the build. For some reason, he got what do you even call that move? Jesus Christ, he's never even done it that I can remember. Gory special?
Yeah, that's what I know it at. It's an inverted, like, something crusher. Yeah. I forget its name. But
he gets a go-go on his back, upside down with the hooks on the arms, and drops down. And we're like, okay, obviously this is a 2 count. We both looked away from the screen.
And that was 3.
That was it.
Now,
that was the match.
A go-go had an injured rib. And with that particular crusher move that he dropped on him,
it may have knocked the wind out of him. I can understand if that happened.
If he just said, like, go home, I'm done.
I think they went to stock footage after this. I think they missed their cue. I could be wrong. This just felt very premature. And for the build that this had, the amount of energy that Cody put into this ridiculous thing, it was a very, very, very lackluster finish. And he beat this kid flat. So honestly, it did nothing for Cody. It did nothing for a go-go, and it made QT look even worse than when Cody beat him flat.
Arn Anderson was pissed off. He missed his spine buster he was going to get tonight.
You know what? For the first time, I'd agree with you. That would have made this match better. You know what? The match itself was technically fine. I gave it 3. It's just very disappointing.
I gave it 3.25.
You're gracious.
I enjoyed it, and the first part of the match was actually very technical.
Yeah, well, the ending sucks. So anyway, one that I was actually looking forward to, the build was fantastic for this one. The TNT champion, Miro, versus Lance Archer. The build for this one was really fucking good. This one had some serious potential to be classic big man versus big man, but both big men can move. Both big men can hit hard and make it believable. The build was outstanding for this. Here's the problem. Miro was booked like a chump since he got to AEW. Now he's a monster, and we're supposed to believe it. Just like he got ruined in WWE. Same damn thing, but now we have to believe it. And Lance Archer's been doing nothing but what? Tread fucking water.
For a full year. And tonight, he has fulfilled it. He is treading water. Now, if he challenges for the TNT title next year, that, like, I was about to say.
Beautiful. That's the goal for Lance Archer. But you know what? Last year, he was a heel. He was a heel when he challenged for the TNT title.
Next time.
So this year, he was a baby face, and Jake the Snake, as one of the best heel managers in AEW, is also now a babyface. So this made no fucking sense. As soon as we kicked this thing up, we jump-started this match like we did all the matches tonight.
Now, unfortunately, I found when we did the video the other night that if you're going to do an impression of Jake the Snake today, it is also in the same impression you would use for Arthur Morgan towards the end of Red Dead Redemption 2. Now, let me tell you something. Tonight, we're going to find out who's the toughest guy out there.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's pretty much the same impression.
I love Jake. Like, Jake is one of the greatest minds the wrestling business has ever seen. Like, that's not even remotely debatable. And if you want to debate me on that, I'm sorry. You just go back and watch Beyond the Mat, the classic documentary. Like, that was one of the most eye-opening experiences of my life as a professional wrestling fan. But he does not work as a babyface manager.
That was an eye-opening experience to just not trust addicts.
True that.
Yeah.
Now, this match was actually pretty disappointing. They jump-started this thing, table spots, and then we ring the bell, and nothing matters. Nobody cares. As soon as we start the bell, it slowed down, and it got to a very methodical point, and then nobody cares. Here comes Jake the Snake towards the end of this thing. Jake the Snake, now the babyface manager, carrying the bag with the snake in it for no reason whatsoever other than, oh, you beat me up the other day, so now I'm going to cost my guy the match by throwing my snake on you. So Miro hits Jake and then takes the bag and chucks it down the ramp. We never even see the snake. Then Miro gets the win. This was just flat as hell.
Yeah, the pitching of the snake, like my first thought was, okay,
I was excited for this match.
Who is going to call offended about the snake?
I was excited for this match. They seriously disappointed me. The booking of this was bad. The agenting of this was bad. The ending was bad. Jake had no reason to come in and interfere and cost Lance Archer the match. Think about this before you execute it, please, for the love of God.
Yeah, for me, this was the second worst match of the night.
Unfortunately, because I was really wanting it to be good. I gave it 2.75.
I think, yeah, I agreed with you.
Yeah,
there was no reason to divert from it because, 2.75.
Now we're going to move on to one that we're going to be very different on in terms of rating. We're talking about Hikaru Shida defending the AEW Women's title against Britt Baker, DMD, and this was one more so than the last that I was actually really, really looking forward to. Hikaru Shida has been the champion for over 370 days, okay? She's been the placeholder champion until the crowds came back. She wanted nothing more than to defend the title in front of a crowd, and she finally got that here. In fact, on Dynamite on Friday, they gave her a newly christened championship belt that was bigger, that was better, that looked more appeasable on television before she went into this match to defend her title for over a year. We all knew the outcome of this one, folks. Spoiler alert, Britt Baker is finally your AEW Women's World Champion, and rightfully so, because there is not another woman on the roster that has better work, that has better psychology, it can actually cut a fucking promo than Britt Baker. She's the most interesting person on the roster in the women's division. I don't care what you think, it's true. She's not the greatest women's wrestler. She's not. More than willing to admit that. She's not.
She's a good worker.
She's a good worker. She's not the best wrestler. She's the best character on the women's roster. Here's my problem. This match could have been so much better if Britt Baker had somebody else to work with, and that's why she's been doing so with Thunder Rosa before she got to beat Hikaru Shida for the title. Hikaru Shida is an okay wrestler, and that's what she's always going to be. Fight me.
Now, Tony, here's the real problem, okay? Now, you know that episode of The Simpsons where Homer goes, "Don't worry, kids, you have my undivided attention." Then it hits like a little like bubble above his head, like, so you're talking about all this great stuff that happened in that match, and in my head, I'm just thinking, tooth and nail match, tooth and nail match, tooth and nail, tooth and nail match, tooth and nail match, tooth and nail match.
That was a terrible match and against a terrible opponent, but that doesn't disqualify what I gave this match because I enjoyed it to the extent that I could, and I didn't let previous incarnations ruin it for me when it comes to the main event, so I wish you wouldn't have done the same. Anywho, I gave this 3.25. I enjoyed it. I thought, if Shida were a better opponent, this would have been a much better match.
So you gave 3.5?
3.25.
I gave this 2.5. It was a decent match, but Britt's gonna have to really do something to captivate my attention here because she's got to work back from zero in a lot of fans' minds. And this is her time to work back. So she's got a chance to work herself back, but she's
not worried. No.
She's a good
gonna
worker.
knock this
She's
out
a
of the
great
park.
heel worker. So we'll see how she does with it. But again, it was an okay match. It was just, but that's what it was. It was a Sheeta match where she's going to hit 14 knees, maybe get a pin, and then maybe knee 15 might do it or might not. You never know when the actual pin's going to come because it's just a series of knees back and forth. So,
Britt did get this pretty much clean. I mean, after a little bit of Reba Rebel interference, this was mostly a clean win. Which, you know what? I think that's going to go a long way to actually establishing her as a champion, and she deserved this. She's been hands down the most over with the audience since the inception of AEW. All the weirdo Smark fans who want to pretend like that's not true, I'm sorry that you're so fucking delusional. It's true.
So,
she's earned this.
Moving right along to the next match. Darby Sting versus Scorpio Sky and Ethan. Tony, we saw Sting first take a suplex.
Oh, good God. Oh, another jump start, by the way.
A diving cross. There was a couple of those today.
I think all but like 2 matches were jump starts.
Yeah. So diving crossbody. Sting does a...
No. Sting took a suplex on the fucking ramp.
Yeah.
No-sold it. Scorpio Sky, and then he pushes Scorpio Sky off and does a double dive off of the stage onto Ethan Page and Scorpio Sky. You know what?
I loved it.
I loved it more than I should have.
Yes, and then just like
we both thought that this was going to be like Darby Allin carrying this match for 90% of it. No. Sting getting into the end. No, Sting was like the first guy in this fucking thing. Like, I got this. Okay, guess Sting's gonna do a bulk of this. He didn't, but it looked.
He did a good chunk of it, enough of it, anyways. And he hit a bunch of stinger splashes, which I love. Scorpion Deathlock. Darby also had the Fujiwara armbar for a little while.
6 years.
Then there was
6 years since Sting's had a match.
Tony, for a guy like that, it's like riding a bike. Okay. But
okay.
So then there's the double submission where Darby and Ethan are slapping each other, which as much as I hated it, I also loved it.
Well, I'm sitting there and I'm like, oh my God, who's actually legal? And you're like, no, I think not Sting and not, oh, wait a minute. So Darby and Paige or Scorpio, I don't even remember at this point, they're slapping each other and gouging each other's eyes. Well, they're both in submissions by non-legal. It was a disaster, but you know what? Here's the thing. I'm watching this tag team match, and I'm remembering back earlier in the night when the rules were completely forgotten. And guess what? Who'd have thought? Sting and Scorpio Sky, 2 fucking veterans with 2 guys that they're actually like, partnered with and actually trying to bring up and teach how to wrestle. They respected tag team rules just enough to make me not hate this fucking thing. And it's still Sting. It's still Sting, and the guy can still fucking go.
The end where Scorpio Sky flips over the top rope, defying gravity, and just landing.
Not just that, but before that, Aubrey's reaction to Sting getting the upper hand was beautiful. Scorpio over the top rope, tries to jump over, get the big cutter move.
In defiance of gravity, just lands in Sting's Scorpion Death Drop position.
Amazing.
Sting drops it. I love it. I gave it 3.75, and I'm probably not being generous.
No, you're being honest, and that's fair because I gave it 3.5. It wasn't a 4-star match, but damn it, for having 6 years off, Sting came back and had this level of a match, even if it is a tag team match. I have nothing bad to say about this. They found the 2-3 right guys to pair Sting with. This was actually pretty damn entertaining.
I'm looking forward to seeing more Darby Allin and his grandpa having matches.
Darby Allin's always going to be captivating, even though he's not meant for longevity in the world of professional wrestling.
You really can't build a promotion around Darby because he might just injure himself horribly in a skateboarding accident any given day, and then there's whatever match you're promoting with him. That's gone.
Indeed.
So,
moving right along, let's talk about the world title match, and this one broke my heart.
Was fucking awesome. Kenny Omega, Pac, and freshly squeezed I don't have any sunglasses, but I'm just going to put my glasses on here. Oh, we're going to do it. Tony's got, yes. Hey, there's my son. And yes.
It's only right. So,
freshly squeezed Orange Cassidy. Yes. And so, folks, welcome one and all to the Blues Brothers Wrestling Podcast. So, Orange Cassidy, he made me a believer, Tony. I was like, I had picked Kenny Omega, and I was losing it over the prospect of Orange Cassidy.
I picked Orange Cassidy to win,
and you weren't as enthused as I was.
No, and you were excited as hell.
Lose my shit. That Orange Cassidy, yes, the freshly squeezed one, was about to become the world heavyweight champion of AEW. And yes, there was a couple of moments where we even thought, shit, Pac might actually.
They did a good job of scoop. Let me get this out of the way right now. Kenny Omega is Kenny Omega, and he has his limitations, but he's got his major upside. And you know what? Triple threat match like this with guys who are slightly undersized, he shines here. This is his wheelhouse. He shined here tonight. Orange Cassidy cannot do a full one-on-one match the entire length through, so this was the perfect wheelhouse for him. Pac is a goddamn magician in the ring. Pac was the MVP of this match.
Yeah,
does
he really
not
held this together.
Matter. Pac carried this on his back. Pac was the backbone of this. This guy gets wrestling. He understands size, mobility, high flying, technical aspects. This guy nailed it out of the park. And anybody who does not appreciate Pac for his performance tonight needs to reevaluate the match again, because he was on full gear this whole time. 110% was given, knowing full well he was not going to win this thing. This was a great performance by Pac, and I applaud him for it.
Yes, and even Kenny Omega kept this stuff to a minimum. There was one point where he's running back and forth that I didn't really like, but other than that, it was all like he was perfect.
He even kept the facials to a minimum. There was one time he did
almost miss the breakup pin spot. That was another one that
even Orange Cassidy's like, dude, get the fuck in here.
Please. But yeah,
when Orange Cassidy's being the ring general, my God. Good evening, gentlemen. Looking handsome as always. Love you, King K.O.E.
Yes, well, hello, Shaquille Oatmeal and some of my fans at the K.O.E. Nation. Just so you know, I have just captured the Revolutionary Wrestling Podcast Championship.
If I may.
I am the champ. Well, I'm sorry, but Shaquille, welcome to this amazing
Yes, of course. Welcome to the fun. Do you have any propositions for one Phil K.O.E.? But we'll continue talking about this match until you do. So, you know what? I wanted to hate this thing. I'll be honest. I wanted to shit all over this match. I did.
You did.
I truly did. Like, Orange Cassidy's gimmick, I'm not a fan. Kenny Omega, he's not my favorite wrestler. Pac's amazing, and I've already gushed over him enough. These three guys,
they work well together.
Found a way to work very, very well together. And honestly, I cannot shit on this match. Even though I knew...
You want to.
Even though I knew at one point it was still pretty big, long shot that Orange Cassidy... I didn't want Orange Cassidy to win. I picked him because my gut told me to. I didn't want him to win. Didn't matter at this point. It didn't matter who won the match. I'm just like, I still don't want to like this. Even if I win the belt, I wanted to shit on this match. I actually enjoyed this. Not nearly as much as Phil did.
And I was willing
and he was rooting for the guy I picked.
Yes, and even if I would have lost the championship, I was having such a great time. But yes, at the end, Kenny Omega got the W barely by the hair.
And I'll say this.
Chinny chin chin.
They made their world champ look real fucking strong here, barely beating a guy who doesn't give a flying fuck after getting the pin, doing a 0.75 kick out into a roll-up pin, 3 count. Kenny Omega does get the win. And my God, the black arrow from Pac is goddamn amazing. The 450 is amazing. Everything Pac does is amazing.
Yeah.
But anywho, I really actually did enjoy this match. It blew me away. I was invested. I watched the whole thing. I did not get distracted. These three guys did work together. They had a good story structure. I can't shit on this. And as somebody who does get very, very technical with his wrestling and wants to shit on the new modern era bullshit, this was actually pretty fucking good. It held me. I'm giving it 4.
Oh, God, that hurt.
It did hurt, but it's...
Yeah.
It's
now, all right, Dave, strap in. Okay.
Yeah, this is
going to be a
ridiculous.
bumpy ride.
This is ridiculous.
This was an amazing match. This was ascendant. This is, again, what the modern era of wrestling can be if done properly. And I gave it 4.75, almost 5 stars, and it is currently in the running and contention for match of the year. So, yes, folks.
How is 2021 below the bar at 2020?
The bar has been raised as high as Everest.
At least the crowds
folks.
are back.
I mean, we've had amazing matches. The crowds are back. And yes, this is the sign that the world is coming back together and things are getting right, is that your King of Extreme is the champion again. That's how you know the world is moving on to be a better place, Tony, because your King of Extreme, Phil K.O.E., has begun his 8th reign as champion. Chicken, I'll be looking for my belt soon. So, Tony, all right. Are we done with the freshly squeezed one?
I just want to reiterate one more time. Pac, my God, amazing job tonight. You carried a guy who's basically a thespian and another guy who's a gimmick from the independent scene to what I gave a 4-star match. Like, you are severely underrated, and anybody who ever questions your work rate again needs socked in the fucking mouth, because Pac is a world beater of a worker. This guy is amazing. Pac is incredible.
Yeah, Pac. Like,
give him all the belts.
When you need somebody to take a loss that means something, you call Pac, because beating Pac still means something.
And he looks like $1 million, and he works like $1 million. I'm fawning over the guy.
He looks like $1 million. He works like $1 million.
I'm fawning over his work, and we both knew he was never going to win this match. That's how good he is. I know.
Yes. So,
anywho.
So, all right.
Let's move on to the main event. Okay.
Stadium Stampede.
Just a sec. Let me just say, at best at this point in the night, I knew my best hope after almost having the Orange Cassidy win to win the title. I knew at best we could tie, me and Phil. I didn't care, because that was actually a pretty good match. And this match, I was just hoping it would be better than last year's. And you know what? This year's iteration of the Stadium Stampede was millennia better than the previous year. Why? Because Matt Hardy wasn't fucking in it. That goes a long way. That goes a long fucking way. I still don't 100% agree with the outcome, and I think it's a little weird, but it is what it is. Let's talk about this.
So who was the coach?
Okay, so this thing starts out. You've got MJF. He's on the football field. All the fans are supposedly still in the stands. We're going to pretend like this was live, even though this was obviously a pre-tape, until they rolled out to the ring. MJF's out there with a white limousine, and then the inner circle rappel down the Titantron.
God, that's right.
They rappelled.
With Chris Jericho's song going.
Like they're Solid Snake in Metal Gear Solid, rappelling down the Titantron. And then MJF hides in the fucking limousine.
That's really, impressive of Chris that he was able to do that with a broken arm.
Anywho, so then the actual Pinnacle shows up in the FTR pickup that I guess they stole back. It doesn't matter. Tully's even there wearing a cutoff t-shirt, looking like a badass at 90 years old. Then the actual fight ensues. In the ring, even.
was about to say, it's kind of unfortunate. Tully's one of the guys that could probably do the most legitimate damage to the most people in an actual bar fight.
Yeah, Tully versus any of them.
Yeah, Tully be fish hooking, poking eyes out. Like, he'd be the guy who'd be like, no, all right, Tully, we cool.
So, yeah, we get a lot of MJF and Jericho, which is that's what this was built around, okay? We expected that. We knew that. That's fine. That's great. So those two start laying their shit in. Then we go to the match you want to see until you see it. Wardlow and Jake Hager. And this thing was 1 second really, really nice. And then the next second, oh my God. Let me just preface this. Like, these guys are laying their shit in. They're in the hallways of the stadium. They're throwing shit at each other. They're hitting shit against each other's head. Most of it's cookie sheets and plastic trash bins. Part of it, I'm like, oh my God, I took this shit when I was 14 and I was a backyard wrestler. And then next thing you know, they're punching each other with the fucking jug. Like, okay, that would legitimately break somebody's fucking neck.
Yeah, we were joking with each other, like, dude, those shots at the jugs wouldn't hurt. And then he does a straight punch of the jug. Like, okay,
that would
all right, yeah, Tony, if you punched me with the jug like that, I would be giving you shit about 3 days. They're like, dude, fuck you, man. My face still hurt. Like, so, yeah.
Those guys did some actual decent work. Like, honestly, that's probably the best Wardlow-Hager interaction I've seen was in this match. So they do this. It goes on for a bit. They do some more spots. Then, Jesus God, Jericho and MJF brawl into, apparently during 10 o'clock at night, football coaches meeting, the Jacksonville Jaguars. They are brawling through
They're
the
very
stadium.
dedicated coaching staff.
Yes, that's it. MJF, Jericho are brawling through the stadium, and they happen to fall into the coach's room of Urban Meyer, the new coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars. You college football fans out there, you'd remember him as the guy who had to retire from the Florida Gators because he had a heart attack or health issues. Allegedly. And then he came back when Ohio State just happened to have an opening. And then, it's just, Ohio State's sanctions and the water's starting to boil. I want to spend more time with
Allegedly.
I want to spend more time with my family.
This is not the place to adjudicate that weird fake fixed football.
My family needs me. My family needs me. I'm going to retire again, and I'm going to be an analyst for ESPN until an NFL job opens up in the Jacksonville Jaguars. And there's NFL's newest coach, Urban Meyer, at 10 at night.
Tell us how you
really wanted to spend time with his family at 10 at night watching film as a wrestling match bursts into his office. God. So then he hands Jericho, I think, the laptop, and Jericho smashes MJF with the laptop. Then they continue fighting. And then this was my favorite part, I think. There's a nightclub at the Jacksonville Jaguar Stadium. Did you know that? Have you heard about this? Have you seen this?
Have you heard this? Have you seen this?
There is. And apparently
it's like 6 people.
It's a pretty happening spot because there's 5 dopey-looking motherfuckers that just hang out at this thing. No chicks, by the way, so great spot. Always be there on a fucking Saturday or Sunday night on a weekend. My God, this place is awesome. So Santana and Ortiz go in and go, ooh, badass. Toilet paper roll, smash! Oh! So the patrons are disposed of now, and then they walk up to FTR at a table, and Tully goes, and Tully pours everybody a shot or a drink, and then they take their drink, and then they fight.
Yeah, they did fight quite a bit, and Tully just kind of stood off to the side. I think he got like one punch, and then he just kind of like walked off.
Well, it helped. So anywho, so that was that, and that didn't matter in the grand scheme of things. Then we go back, I think, to Wardlow and Hager, and nobody gives a fuck. Then this is great. This is fucking great, folks. So we cut. There's a dark room. There's a black silhouette of a man just sitting there with his face down on the back of a chair, sitting backwards on a chair. It lightens up a bit, and there's nothing but hundreds and hundreds and thousands of chairs all behind the man and beside the man. And he looks up, and it's none other than the chairman of AEW, Sean Spears, sitting backwards on a chair to establish that this man is a true badass, and he is the chairman of AEW. So Sammy Guevara walks in, and then they start doing a insanely rehearsed routine of ducking and dipping and jumping over chair shots and trading lightsaber chair shots. And they
it was a kung fu movie sequence with chairs, and it didn't work.
Shawn Spears is like, my God, you've hindered me with this awful chairman gimmick. At least let me use the shitty room of chairs.
I was about to say, when he walked in and saw that room filled with chairs, like, no, fuck you. I'm doing something here.
This is what you've given me. I'm going to work with it. Yeah. So they did that. And you know what? I'll give this to Spears and Guevara. Like, these two guys, they work very well together, and they nailed it, given what they were given. So this carries on, and then eventually it proceeds into MJF and Jericho again. MJF and Jericho fighting in the backstage area. MJF is thrown through a window. Oh, well, just wait a second. Jericho grabs MJF. There's a camera cut, and somebody who looks very similar to MJF is thrown through a door window. The camera cuts again.
Are you implying that MJF is not doing his own stunts?
I am absolutely implying that, because then the blood cuts back, and
is anything more heel than that? MJF, like, I'm not doing my own stunts. Like I'm sorry, I kind of like that. Like, as much as I hate it, I love it. Like,
yeah. So then Jericho and MJF, who has a fresh new wound on his forehead in a different place, shockingly, finally fight out into the crowd. Now, this is where it kicks into live gear, because let's be frank, everything up to this point was pre-recorded. We all know it.
What? How dare you?
I didn't want to be the one to break it to you. So Jericho and MJF start fighting through the crowd. The crowd is loving it. You know what? The crowd was on point tonight. Can't take anything away from him for that. He crotches MJF on the guardrail. There's some fighting. He gives MJF a power bomb into a box, almost dump off the side. This is great. And then they kind of disappear. And then MJF and Sammy Guevara end up in the actual ring. And I'm sitting there like clearly, like, we know, like, if somebody's going to eat the pin from the Pinnacle, it's going to be Shawn Spears, obviously, because it's always going to be. That's why Shawn Spears is in the Pinnacle.
Tony was counting on Sammy Guevara turning.
Yeah, I was.
On the inner circle. But, Tony, the inner circle, it's a brotherhood. It's a fraternity.
Shut the fuck.
They would never turn on each other. And they are also the group that delivered me the Revolutionary Wrestling Podcast.
So you've got Sammy Guevara and you've got Shawn Spears actually in the ring at this point. Like, Shawn Spears is there to eat a pin if the Pinnacle was going to lose this. And that's exactly what he was there for. But I did not think it was going to be Sammy Guevara beating Shawn Spears flat fucking back in the middle of the ring.
Play to piss on Broadway.
I don't agree with the ending, but I'm not going to take anything away from the Inner Circle. The Inner Circle does get the W, and it did solidify a one-on-one full-out victory for the number 8-time champion Phil K.O.E.
Yes.
I do not agree with the ending. I think this was the perfect time to turn Sammy Guevara heel again, to enter a program with Jericho. Maybe that's still coming down the pike. I can only hope. But for everything that the Inner Circle has done for AEW, this was a good 50-50 booking in terms of the blood and guts and the Stadium Stampede. I just didn't want to see a 50-50 book.
I was about to say, now that the crowds are back, you could almost do an entire event around just the Pinnacle and Inner Circle.
You kind of have
Jericho, MJF.
Now we have
Santana Ortiz versus FDR. Wardlow versus Hager. And
that's where I was thinking. Like, that's the only thing that makes sense at this point.
Arn Anderson, Tully Blanchard in a checkers match.
Chess. Let's make it difficult.
Okay.
I think that's the only thing that makes sense, because you've got to have a blow after this, because they've kind of botched this entire feud. They've given away the big blow off multiple times now, and I can't agree with the ending here. I don't, but I get it. So what I want to see moving forward from AEW is a final blow-off. You've got to see the breakup of the Inner Circle. They teased it here. They didn't go through with it. That's fine. There was a crowd. They rewarded them. They went home happy. So the only logical thing is to finally see it through. Eventually, MJF is going to be the star at the end of this feud. He's going to be the victor eventually. And Sammy Guevara will be the heel that breaks up the inner circle. It's going to happen. You heard it here, folks, yesterday. Tony G said this. Remember.
All right. But, folks, that was not the results this evening. The results
Not
this
tonight.
evening,
It will
Tony,
come.
Was that the inner circle prevailed, and that is what brought the Revolutionary Wrestling Podcast Championship home to Castle KOE.
Let's rate it. Let's rate it before we go on.
Oh,
okay.
Because I could go on.
Here's the thing, folks. Last year, I hated the Stadium Stampede. I hated it. I hated it. I hated it. Hated it so fucking much. Because for all the reasons that Phil hated the tooth and nail match, I'm going to apply to the Stadium Stampede because it was basically the same thing, just different participants. I didn't like
Not
it.
even close.
Yeah, it pretty much was. Anywho, so this one, worlds better because Matt Hardy wasn't in it. Matt Hardy sucks. Fuck you, Matt Hardy. Anywho, this one was good.
Tell us how you really feel.
Fuck you, Matt Hardy. This one was actually pretty good. I actually enjoyed the way they booked this and saw it through and the way they shot it beforehand and finished it in the ring. It did surprise me, so I can't shit on it too much. Not a traditional match, but I did enjoy the thing. It went on a little long, but I'm going to give it 3.5. Phil, go ahead. Gush over this thing. Give me a fake rating, and let's hear it.
It was incredible. It was way better than last year's Stadium Stampede, which was one of the matches of the year last year. So
it was a shit.
The already high expectations were all like they somehow...
You could limbo under it, but yeah.
Okay. All right, Tony. But let's be honest here. Let's be frank here. Okay. All right. Tony Khan, Cody Rhodes,
motherfucker,
AEW Elite. Just when I thought you couldn't do anything more stupid, you go and you do something like this and completely redeem yourself. Oh my God, this was incredible. This was ascendant. This was an amazing match. I enjoyed, I way enjoyed more of it than I disliked any part of it.
That's fair.
It didn't take a big old steaming dump all over football like last year's did.
I don't.
Anyway, I mean, we could talk conspiracy, but folks, this was actually a really good match. It was a great time, and also the right team won, helping deliver the championship to Phil K.O.E. So you gave it 3.25.
I gave it 3.5.
3.5. Well, I was going to say you're off by a star.
4.5, huh?
No, I'm going to stick with 4.25.
Okay.
It was a great match.
That's a little much, but okay.
Yep. 4.25. I mean, it was no Kenny Omega, Pac versus Orange Cassidy, which is right now in contention for match of the year.
Okay.
But so once again, folks, Double or Nothing leads to a massive disagreement between Tony and I, but guess who's actually right is your king of extreme, because I'm holding the gold, baby. And you remember the golden rule? Where there's a second golden rule. He who has the gold rules. And so, folks, Tony's just...
I'm gonna give you your moment to shine, but hey, before we sign off, this was AEW Double or Nothing 3, 2021. Before we sign off, if you have any questions, comments that you want to throw at us,
let us know.
Throw them in now. Otherwise, we're going to sign off here very, very shortly. This was actually, honest to goodness, better than I expected. The matches that I wanted to be really, really good, it was about half and half. Like the Miro Archer match really disappointed me. Baker, had she had a better opponent, I think would have been a much better match. Cody's match was very disappointing. The Stadium Stampede, low bar, so it surpassed it for me. Sting did a phenomenal job, but hey, he's a fucking vet. Like, this was kind of back-asswards for me in terms of what I expected and what I got. So, there's worse things, there's better things.
But yeah, now, Tony, This is also the christening of
Number 8.
Oh, yes, Philly
Yeah.
2 belts.
Yeah.
I am the Revolutionary Wrestling Podcast champion, the KOE champion, pretty much like the
This
eternal
rat
champion.
bastard took my television title and ripped all my details off.
Because it's a sacred relic of the Revolutionary Wrestling Podcast.
Well, it's all we've got until worthless-ass former champ Chicken decides to send us the real title.
We are here together, and we have seen the christening of the KOE era. Fuck Kenny Omega. He ain't no belt collector. You're looking at the belt collector, Phil K.O.E. You're looking at like Ultimo Dragon ain't got nothing on me. I am your king of extreme. I am the Revolutionary Wrestling Podcast champion. And you know to like, share, subscribe here at KOE Nation on YouTube and Twitch. You can find us Revolutionary Wrestling Podcast on YouTube, on Spotify, on Twitch, RevResPod. You can also find us on Twitter. You know it's the right thing to do, folks, to follow us on both of them. And then also be sure to check us out at Big Buckin' Empire for all of your KOE content.
On Facebook.
Yes, on Facebook too, YouTube, Spotify, where we all get together for these crazy times to figure out what way the world is heading. And folks, also check out Justin at Yanked Up Podcast. But yes, folks, yes, Yanked Up Podcast on YouTube, but most important, again, Revolutionary Wrestling Podcast, YouTube, Spotify, KOE Nation on YouTube and Twitch, folks. And Tony, as I'm known to say around here, all that being said, thank you for joining us for our review of Double or Nothing. I am the devilishly handsome outlaw himself, your king of extreme, Phil K.O.E., the lord of the Scottish Highlands, the conqueror of the ethereal, the prince and potentate of the political parlance, the emperor of the Big Buckin' Empire, and the eight-time
Why are you mocking me?
Revolutionary Wrestling Podcast champion, folks. This is the place to be. We will be getting back together very soon for Hell in a Cell.
Oh, Christ. Okay.
Yes, folks. So be sure to join us there. Be sure to follow me at KOE Nation, YouTube, Twitch, and be sure to know this is the place to follow the real champion. The world's going to look up, folks. It's all going to get better from here. The crowds are back. The world's getting back to normal, and your king of extreme is the champion again. The world might just turn around, folks. So, folks, as I said, all that being said, the show's so nice I had to outro it twice. I am signing off, handing it off to my indomitable broadcast partner, Tony. Take it away.
All right, folks. This was AEW Double or Nothing 2021. Double or Nothing 3, folks. Marvelous time. Pretty damn good show. Better than last year, in my opinion. So, if you have any questions, if you have any comments, drop them in the comments below. If you want to throw some motherfucking hate mail, dogandchickenshow@gmail.com. Big Buckin' Empire on Facebook. But most importantly, Revolutionary Wrestling Podcast on YouTube, on Spotify, on Anchor, all the good shit. KOE Nation on Twitch, on YouTube, on everything. My God. And of course, myself, Tony the Rod, on TikTok and YouTube. Anywho,
how could I forget?
If you have any fantastic questions, comments, or hate mail, throw it our way. We're ready for it. But the next time you will see us on the Revolutionary Wrestling Podcast, we're going to try to throw you some roundtable discussion. But the next pay-per-view review will be, unfortunately, a WWE event. Super fucking early, way before Halloween. Hell in a Cell, because we don't know how to book shit. We don't care anymore. It's all about appeasing our overlords of Disney or ESPN or NBC or whoever the fuck Vince is bending over for this week. We will see you then. Thanks a lot. Don't watch zombie crap. Thank you, AEW, for a decent show.
God bless. Catch you on the flip side. New champ. Woo! Yeah! Champ Phil.
Fuck you.
Aw.
No, go ahead.
Tell us how you really feel, T.
That's fine.
Are we still live?
Yep, we're still live.
Well, then yes, I figured we were going to leave off on a high note.